this sound familiar? You do really well with making healthy choices for yourself during the day for the most part, but then evening rolls around, it's the end of the day, you're winding down, and it's like something takes over, and suddenly you're pawing through the cupboards, going through the freezer, just eating all the junk food or just overeating and sabotaging all those good choices that you made earlier in the day. Give this video a thumbs up for me if you know exactly what I am talking about. Well, I get it because I used to be right there with you, and it was such a frustrating pattern and habit that I was stuck in for years. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I was able to break this habit really for good, not by focusing on what I was eating, not by finding some magic sugar-free treat for the evening, not by cleaning out my cupboard and making sure I had no tempting foods in the house, but rather by focusing on self-care. Now, you might be asking, what in the world does self-care have to do with overeating at night? How do these two things go together? Well, have you ever noticed that you seem to have way more willpower in the morning, earlier on in the day, and then almost no willpower at night? This is because willpower is a finite resource, meaning it runs out. I like to think of your willpower as like a bank account. So if you can imagine, when you wake up in the morning, assuming you've had a good sleep and you've been taking care of yourself and you're feeling pretty good, when you wake up in the morning, your willpower bank account is full. But as you go through the day, every time you use up a little willpower, and let's be clear, willpower isn't just about saying no to the donut or no to the second slice of pizza. Willpower is also just anytime you make a choice, right? Whether you're going to respond to an email, whether you're going to say what you really think to that coworker. These are all times when you are using willpower, and every time you use willpower throughout the day, you make a little withdrawal from that bank account. So by the end of the day, you've made so many little withdrawals from that willpower bank account that it's empty. There is nothing left. And that's why in the evening we feel so powerless, so vulnerable to that ice cream in the freezer or the cookies in the cupboard or the pizza that somebody in your house brings home. So that's why instead of focusing on the foods that we have in the house or the foods that people are bringing home or whatever might be tempting us, I think a better approach is to think about how we can keep that willpower bank account topped up. So that no matter what happens in the evening, again, no matter what foods are in your house or what people bring home or what might be tempting you, you have that full willpower bank account at your fingertips, ready to help you, make choices that are actually going to be healthy and serve you better in the long run. So how do we do that? How do we keep that willpower bank account topped up so that it will be there for us in the evening when we need it? The answer to that, my friends, is self-care. Because every time you prioritize self-care, you're making a little deposit into that willpower bank account. Now you might be thinking, well, that all sounds well and good, but I don't have time to be getting massages or taking bubble baths all day so that I can top up my willpower bank account and avoid binge eating at night. And that is fine, because that is not what I'm talking about here. In fact, I don't even really think that's what self-care is. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a massage, I love a bubble bath, but I consider those more sort of pampering. To me, self-care is actually about fostering connection. And connection in two specific ways. First, connection within yourself, body, mind, and soul. Really feeling connected to your true self, who you truly are, and the highest version of yourself. And second, connection with something greater than you, whatever words you use to describe that. The universe, Mother Nature, God, energy, whatever feels right for you. But your place in something greater, your connection to something greater. These two elements of connection and how we can foster them and cultivate them, to me, that is true self-care. And the great news is that that doesn't need to take hours of your day. That can be done in moments and snippets here and there throughout the day to help you make those deposits into your willpower bank account and end your day not feeling exhausted and depleted and empty and vulnerable to all those snacks, but rather coming from a place of strength, of resilience, and able to make healthy choices for yourself that are really going to serve you and your goals in the long run. So here are 3 really simple self-care routines or rituals that you can use throughout your day to help make those deposits into your willpower bank account and give you a much better chance of making healthier choices once the end of the day rolls around. Okay, the first one is a morning routine. Now, if you've watched other videos of mine, I've talked about morning routines a lot. I'm a big proponent of the power of a morning routine to set you up for success during your day. But a morning routine doesn't have to be a whole big thing. You don't have to be getting up 2 hours early to, do yoga and meditate and do all of these things if that's not your thing. A morning routine can just be a few moments. It could just be 5 or 10 minutes in the morning that you carve out for yourself, and during which you just make time for a few routines, rituals that are meaningful for you. So it might be a few moments of meditation. It might be a few moments of prayer. It might be reading something. I love to read poetry in the morning. It might be reading sacred text or reading some sort of personal development kind of book that is meaningful for you. But some kind of ritual or routine, or a few of them, that foster that feeling of connection within you. Again, connection with your own body, mind, and soul, and connection with something greater. So just think about what are some things that you could do that would start your day in a really positive way and in a really intentional way, helping you foster and cultivate that kind of connection. How you spend those first few moments of your day is largely going to determine how you feel for the rest of the day and how you end up feeling in the evening, whether you feel supported and recharged or whether you feel empty and depleted and turning to food to try and numb that feeling. Okay, the next self-care ritual technique that I want to share with you and suggest to you is journaling. Journaling is a wonderful way to help you process through your thoughts and your feelings so that you can get them out and sort of deal with them in a healthier way instead of turning to food as a way to numb them or avoid them or manage them. So instead of stuffing your worries and fears and concerns down with food, open up that journal and just do some free flow writing, just getting the stuff out of your head, just writing down what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, what you're worried about, what feels overwhelming, what feels really hard, what feels sad, what feels heavy. Just getting it out and processing it by writing it down is going to help you work through it and release it in a way that will be much more effective than the junk food in your house. And I think that you'll find that if you take these moments, again, this could be part of your morning routine, or it could be something that you do in the evening when you're maybe feeling tempted to overeat. But just that act of processing through your feelings using a journal instead of food is going to be much more effective and much healthier for you. And the great thing is with journaling is you don't have to fix any of the things that are going on in your head or in your heart in your journal. It's not about that. It's just about getting them out of you onto the paper and, again, allowing yourself to process them and release them in a way that is much more productive and healthy and feels a whole lot better than overindulging in junk food. And the third self-care tip or ritual that I want to share with you is taking what I call magic moments throughout the day. Now, I talked earlier about how very often we're turning to food in the evening because we're exhausted, we're depleted, our willpower bank account has run dry. And so a great way to deal with that would be to make more time for sleep or naps throughout the day. But realistically, that isn't always doable for everybody, right? People have busy schedules and busy lives, and so you might not be able to make that happen. So an alternative to that is what I call magic moments, and that is literally just taking a minute here, a minute there during your day to stop, to be present, to maybe just take a deep breath, and just take a moment to recharge. Just these little magic moments throughout the day can be deposits into that willpower bank account. So if you can, again, just here and there, maybe when you arrive somewhere in your car before you get out and you're sitting in the parking lot, just take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, just feel yourself settle a little bit, feel your shoulders drop down. Sometimes I'll just, take a moment to take a breath and just watch the birds in the tree outside of my window, just taking these little moments. Again, it can just be a moment here, a moment there that you grab onto, but that you really use to just recharge for a moment. It's amazing how much can be done in just these small magic moments. So I grab these magic moments here and there as often as I can, knowing that every time I do, I'm making that little deposit into that willpower bank account. I'm filling my cup a little bit so that by the end of the day, I'm not so depleted and exhausted and vulnerable to all of those food temptations in my house. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments below which of these little self-care routines or rituals sounds interesting to you. Which one might you try? Or is there something else that is calling to you in terms of self-care that fills your cup, recharges you, replenishes you, cultivates and fosters that feeling of connection in you? Maybe it's a walk outside in nature. Maybe it's getting on the floor and playing with your dog. Let me know in the comments below what you're going to do to make those little deposits into your willpower bank account throughout the day and prevent yourself from ending up in the evening feeling exhausted, depleted, empty, so that you are using food as a way to fill that void. And if you're interested in more self-care practices, I talked about a few here today, but you might want to watch this video next on 12 self-care practices that have literally changed my life. There's no massages or bubble baths in that list, so you might be interested in what I talk about in that video around self-care and how these practices have done so much for me in terms of improving my health and really helping me change my relationship with food. All right, take care, my friends. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.